Everybody, welcome to this week's Dennis Kirk Tech Tip. A couple weeks ago, we talked to you about installing another product that we love, the Pro Taper Cell Hole Shot device. This week, we're going to talk about the Rekluse Torque Drive Clutch Pack. Now, you think of a clutch, and you don't really think power gain. You think replacing an item that wears out in your bike, right? The Rekluse Torque Drive Clutch Pack is functionally different and actually improves the performance of your bike on the track. It's kind of a daunting task to install. The first time I did it, I was a little scared. I actually had the guy's number at Rekluse, so I called him and asked him for some advice, because even though the directions are very good, there's a lot of little moving parts that make it a little scary. So we're going to show you how to install one of these bad boys. I stand by my opinion and statement that the $389 Rekluse Torque Drive Clutch Pack yields a bigger performance gain than aftermarket exhaust or any other part that you could put on your bike. So I'll show you the tools that you need to install it, and we'll get right to it. Okay, for this job, you obviously need the clutch. If you look between the fibers and the metal plates, you'll see those strange looking little springs. That's the biggest thing that makes the installation of a torque drive clutch pack kind of intimidating. Those are to keep the basket from wearing out from the clutch plates. One of the things that makes the Rekluse better than stock is instead of 8 frictions, 8 metals, it has 12 and 12. So there's more contact surfaces and less clutch slip. Since we'll be draining the oil, we need all the things that you would need to drain the oil. Somewhere to catch the dirty oil, new oil filter, quart of oil, side stand to make sure you get all the oil out. And then as far as tools, you need the screwdriver to take the filler cap off, 12 millimeter to get the drain plug out, and of course 8 to remove the clutch cover, as well as the clutch spring bolts. Okay, so when you remove the clutch cover, the brake pedal is in the way, so to get it out of the way, you can compress your caliper so that it gives it some play. Drop your brake pedal. You can stick the screwdriver in there to keep it down and out of the way of the clutch cover. So now you remove your clutch cover bolts. I believe the long ones are here and here, but obviously when you're putting it back together, the long ones won't go anywhere that they don't belong, so not too hard to figure out. So this one here is a little bit longer, as is this one. These two are longer than the others. Yeah, so you pull the clutch cover off. Make sure to check out your O-ring to make sure that it's not torn or popping out. This one looks perfect, so we'll leave it as is. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove these Allens to get the clutch pressure plate off. Okay, so on the tools we forgot to mention 5 millimeter Allen to get the clutch pressure plate off. So we're using our handy mountain bike tool here. This is when the clutch cover comes in handy. Okay, so after you get the last one out, take off the jetter spring off the pressure plate. So then we've got the plates to take out. So to get all the plates out, you could either use a skinny screwdriver, or if you've got a pick, that certainly makes things easy. Helps if you work one side out, get your finger in there, get the next ones out. As you get to the bottom of the stack, it gets a little trickier. Okay, so we've got the stock plates out. The big difference for the Rekluse is that it comes with 8 fiber plates and 7 metals. And this clutch is still in great condition, but we're going to up the power of this bike with Rekluse. So the trick to the Rekluse clutch, as opposed to the 8 and 7, this has 10 and 9. So 10 fibers, 9 metals. You'll notice 2 of the metals are different. They go in first and last, but the trick to the Rekluse is that there are more surfaces in contact with each other for grip and less slip. So that is how the Rekluse clutch provides better throttle response and low end torque. So the basket sleeves are another one of the most unique things about the Rekluse torque drive clutch pack. So the basket sleeves are made out of steel, much more durable than the aluminum clutch basket. So these are for the clutch plate tabs to rest in between, so they don't groove out the aluminum basket. So all you do is you pinch them together, use your other finger to guide it in, put them in between the arms of the clutch basket. Okay, so there's 14 of these clips in total. You can see all of them are in place. You might want to put your finger against them, make sure they're all the way against the basket. And we're ready to install the first plate. So as I said, the two plates that are different than the rest go first and last. So once you get the first fiber and the first metal in, it pretty much holds the basket pins in place. You don't have to worry about them slipping around. Also, the clutch plates, the metals, have a sharper edge and a more rounded edge. I'm told doesn't matter, but I like to put them all in the same direction. And as far as pre-soaking your fibers in oil, I've heard some mechanics say yes, other mechanics say that's unnecessary preparation. Personally, I've never done it. Maybe if you're going to ride your bike right after you put the oil in, but typically you should be putting your new clutch in at home, and the bike is going to get warmed up at the track, oil will circulate, and there's no real need to have it soaking like that. I'm sure there will be people commenting otherwise. So you'll see the last plate is the thicker one, just like the first plate. And we're good to go. So we have the clutch plates and the clutch clip, the basket pins installed, ready to put the pressure plate back on. So put that on there. The retainer here. So remember that there's a cupped out washer that each bolt goes into. It's best to start these by hand for sure to avoid cross threading. Note that the spring washer is labeled outside so you don't flip it. Make sure you keep the outside on the outside. I like to do this in a crisscross pattern so it puts pressure on the spring evenly. It's good to hold everything in place with one hand while you tighten it down. Don't snug this all the way, just get a little bit so there's some pressure on the spring. Again, go opposite of each other. You don't want to go boom, boom, boom and press all this tension on one side of the spring. So there. Okay, so once you have all 6 of them snug down a little, you can do the final tighten. You don't want to over tighten these because they can snap. I've definitely done that in my youth. Had to get it healy coiled out. Okay, so we got all 6 bolts snugged down evenly. All that's left to do is replace the clutch cover and put oil back in the bike. So remember that the 2 long bolts are here and here. I like to put all the bolts in place before I start tightening them up. Couple threads each maybe. Keep things from getting crossed up. So just like the clutch spring bolts, I like to go in a crisscross pattern so that you don't over torque one side, resist the opportunity to cross thread or warp the cover. Again, not really torquing them down, just snugging them up, and do a final snug up afterwards. Now that they're all snug, I like to go all the way around one more time, just to make sure. And good to go. Let's put some oil back in.